Ali Shearer, a very good afternoon. Lovely to see you in this great location. We are at St. James's Park in Newcastle United dressing room. Thank you for hosting us,
Yeah,
first of all.
Good to be here. Thanks for coming. Lovely seeing you.
No worries. I must say, when the Premier League offer us these chances, we usually do it at Stockley Park in West London.
Yeah.
But once they offer us to come here to Newcastle...
Much better here, right?
We should do it weekly.
And the sun is shining as well outside, so yeah.
Fantastic. I actually want to start with the location. What does it mean for you personally to sit here at this dressing room, inside here, after the emotional roller coaster this football club has been for so many years?
Well, I'm very proud of my 10 years here at Newcastle. It's a great football club. It's a great football stadium. As you know, it's right in the city centre, which makes it unique. And I know how much this place means to the Geordies that come here every single week and support this football club. It's been a difficult time over the past few years, but things are looking up. I know that Newcastle have just lost the last three, but certainly before that, there's been a big improvement. But there's been a big improvement in the whole football club in terms of from the very top to the communication, to the fans, to the atmosphere in the stadium now. It's now like what it was again in the 90s. And those fans deserve it.
Give us a tour of the dressing room. I mean, special players have special items in the locker room. What was your special item? You used to go to your locker and have maybe a picture of the family you used to kiss before the game, maybe a pair of golden boots, maybe a high five with the kitman?
No, you know what it is? I had my place in the dressing room with my number 9 shirt there hanging up. I always used to, for the first half an hour or so, the music used to be blasting in the dressing room for half an hour. The manager used to say what he did and name the team. And then it was my job as captain to try and keep the atmosphere going. You've got to realise and understand what characters you have in your dressing room. Whether some like it to be loud or some like to do their own thing.
Different nationalities as well, different languages.
Different nationalities, different languages. And then we used to go out and do the warm up. And I never ever wanted to put the ball on the back of the net and have shooting sessions, because I always felt that if I scored a 20 or 25 yarder in the warm up, then the chances of me doing it again in the game were slim. So I never used to do shooting sessions before the game in a warm up, and always used to take it nice and slow. And then that was it. We back in the dressing room, boots on. I never ever wanted to change my boots if they were successful for me in terms of if I'd scored in a pair of boots. I used to have boots that used to be hanging off me with holes in and what have you, because I was always reluctant to change them if they were the ones that I'd scored in. Then that was it. Used to go out, and then the closer you got, you couldn't hear the fans from the dressing room. But as soon as you opened that door,
overwhelming,
you could hear them, and then you just needed to get out there and sample the atmosphere.
Here comes Alan Shearer. It's Shearer for Newcastle. Alan Shearer, 201 goals for Newcastle United.
You know that feeling before a massive game, that when the atmosphere is buzzing and building up in the dressing room? Share with us one moment that stands out for you. Maybe a big speech by one of the players, maybe a fun incident, maybe a not really fun incident here in this dressing room before a massive game.
It was, well, yes, you can imagine they're all different. There was huge anticipation and huge excitement. And all managers were different, whether at what time they used to talk to you, whether some used to have a team talk at 1 o'clock after your pre-match meal, or some used to talk to you when you got into the dressing room at around about 1:30, 1:45 for a 3 o'clock kickoff. And then again, some managers would talk to you 2 or 3 minutes before you were due to go out at 2 to 3 for that 3 o'clock kickoff. And all were different in terms of their tone, whether you could tell the excitement that they had, you could tell whether they were shouting, whether they were trying to get everyone up. So it was always very different with what manager you were playing, what team you were playing. But it's such a special place to be in. And then depending on the results, there've been some good and some bad after the game, where there's some fights and arguments and rows, but mainly good times.
Any big fight you remember?
Mainly good times. Yeah, I had a few myself. Yeah, and I had a few.
Which one was the biggest?
I had a big argument once with David Ginola.
I'm not surprised.
When I felt he didn't put as many crosses in a game as he should have. But I think it's hugely important that can happen. But I also think it's hugely important when it does happen, it's forgotten about after the game, and then you move on to the next morning, and then you're ready to go on to prepare for the next game.
You mentioned David Ginola. I was wondering who was in charge, the DJ in the dressing room. Was it Les Ferdinand yourself? Was the music impact, the English, maybe Spice Girls, or David was trying to push for the French music?
My music definitely wasn't allowed. There was no Lionel Richie allowed in the dressing room. That was too slow.
What has been the highest and the lowest moments you experienced here in this dressing room?
One of the highest would have been putting 5 past Manchester United.
Oh, good effort by Beardsley. It's a tap in, surely. Yes, it is now. Shearer's done it. Newcastle have 4.
And one of the lowest would have, without doubt, me missing a penalty against Sunderland.
Alan Shearer. Here he comes. Oh, Shearer is foiled by a superb save from Sorensen.
Well, that was tough to take. I accepted responsibility.
Against Sandrland as well. It was difficult to walk down the streets.
I know, you don't have to remind me. I was well aware, and still hurts me now. I had to come in and apologise to my teammates and to the manager for costing them that particular game. But one of the best moments, and my last ever kick of a football, was not so much here at St James's Park, but it was at Sunderland, and that was my last ever kick. So if you believe in fate, that was meant to happen. So that was how I retired. I never kicked another football after that because I took the penalty, and I got injured a minute later after that and never played professional football again. So it was meant to happen.
You spoke about the fans, and every time when back home, people in Israel, fans of the game, family, friends, they ask me about stadiums in England. Which one stands out? I always say Old Trafford, Anfield, Stamford Bridge. They're outstanding in their own way. But this place, the Geordie pride, I have never seen something like this in this country, and I've been doing this job for a while. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's a unique and brilliant atmosphere. I first came here for Kevin Keegan's debut, My Hero, in 1982, and for 3 o'clock kickoff. I got here at 9 a.m. and I thought I would have been one of the first. There must have been 10 or 12,000 before me, and we queued for 5 hours to get into the stadium. So I'm well aware of who and what they are. They're a great set of supporters, and I want to be here the day that Newcastle win something.
Oh, okay.
Because of they've been starved of success. I had 10 great years here, and if there's a set of fans that deserve a piece of success, or a piece of silver, I should say, then it's these fans, because they've supported their club through thick and thin over the years, and it's been amazing.
Speaking about locations, the famous bar Shirer has been reopened recently. We spoke about the interview, about the menu, about the drinks, about opening times. I'm sure it's a great bar with a great menu, but what does it mean for you that it's been reopened recently, and now the great evidence of your legacy here?
Yeah, it was my friends always used to call it that anyway when the previous owner changed it to a different name. But it's great. I drive past St James's Park all the time, and whether it's a statue or whether it's the bar, then I'm very, very honoured and very proud to have that. People will always remind me, but you never won anything at Newcastle. But I have a statue outside, which means more to me than any trophy I think could mean. So, yeah, very honoured and very proud and very lucky.
Let's speak about Newcastle at the moment. Obviously, you came back to the city. You grew up in Newcastle as a fan. You had a season ticket. You admired and adored Kevin Keegan. But players that will come back to Newcastle will get a contract with Newcastle now. They will do it because they will be rewarded with a big contract. What's your view on that?
That's fine. That's the way football is, particularly at the highest level. If you're brilliant at your job, then you deserve to be rewarded for that. And likewise, Newcastle are in the Premier League, and whilst the broadcasters are willing to keep on paying the big money to show the games all around the world, then players will continue to get huge salaries. I'm quite comfortable with that, and the players deserve that.
Right, now Newcastle go for the third. Shearer gets it at last! Premier League goal, 200 for Alan Shearer!
You are the Premier League all-time goal-scoring record holder. Yeah. I was wondering if you would have switched this impressive title to win the Premier League even once with Newcastle United. Oh,
absolutely, yeah. I would have swapped anything just to win anything with Newcastle. It wasn't the be-all and end-all. It would have been amazing. We got to 2 FA Cup finals at Wembley. I mean, the first FA Cup final, we got to Wembley and we were beaten, but then we came back to Newcastle and we had to do a parade all the way through the centre at Newcastle, and there was hundreds of thousands of people on the back of a defeat at Wembley. So you can imagine what it would be like if when Newcastle actually win something, and I want to be around to see that, as I said. So yeah, absolutely, I would have swapped that without a doubt.
And it feels like Harry Kane, another legend at Tottenham Hotspur, is going through a very similar scenario you experienced a good few years ago. If you would have been in Harry Kane's shoes, what you would have done? Stay at Spurs, becoming the number one legend at the football club, or look for opportunities somewhere and look for silver and trophies? Well,
there's only Harry can answer that. I was slightly different in terms of I'd left this area as a kid, as a 15-year-old, to go to Southampton, then to Blackburn, and we had won the Premier League trophy at Blackburn. So I already had that trophy when I moved back here to this football club, to Newcastle. So it's slightly different for me. As I said, Harry has to decide whether he can get the goal-scoring record, the Tottenham one, the Premier League one, the statue he can have outside his football club at Tottenham.
It might be even more difficult because there is improvement now on the contest, so it might be even a bigger
debate. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many reasons that you will have to speak to him about, and how much he wants to go out and win a trophy or trophies. I mean, there's no doubt about it that if he left and went to Man City or whoever, or even abroad, that he'd win trophies. But would he be as happy and would he be as comfortable as he feels now at Tottenham? And he's a fantastic player, and he has got a great chance of going on to break my record, the goal-scoring record. So there's only him can answer that, and whatever he decides is the right decision for him.
I'm sure you were slightly relieved when Kun Aguero left Man City in the summer. Do you think Harry Kane will overtake your record one day?
I think he's got the best opportunity out of anyone, whether that be Wayne Rooney or Aguero. There's no doubt about it. But I mean, there's ifs. If he stays at Tottenham, if he stays injury-free, how long is he going to play for? But he's got a really good chance of going on and breaking it. Absolutely, yeah.
I'll take you back to the summer of 1996. Lots of rumor after the Euros. What's going to be your next destination after Blackburn Rovers, Newcastle and Man United? Now, I've done my research and I've heard a couple of versions.
Yeah.
I heard one version that you had a concert with Bryan Adams concert that you attended with Gary Neville and David Beckham. And before the concert, a few hours before, you met Kevin קיגן. Then you decided, I'm off to Newcastle. The other version, a secret meeting at the house of David Platt's mother-in-law up in Chester, when you met Kevin קיגן, and a few hours later, you met Sir Alex Ferguson, and then you decided, I'm off to Newcastle. So what really happened?
What really happened? Okay, I was at the Bryan Adams concert. I wasn't with Gary Neville and David Beckham, but they were there. I did see them.
Okay.
And I had met Kevin before that concert, yeah, but I hadn't decided where to go. I had also met Kevin and Sir Alex at David Platt's mother-in-law's house in
So I got some
Cheshire.
information right.
Some of it is right, yeah. I met Kevin in the morning, and then I met Sir Alex Ferguson in the afternoon, and I really didn't know, even at that point, after speaking to both of them, I really didn't know what to do. If anything, I was favouring going to Manchester United.
It's what made you decide?
And then I got another phone call off Kevin. Newcastle were due to fly out to the Far East on a pre-season tour, and he stayed behind and asked if he could have another half an hour meeting with me, and he did. And of all places, we had the meeting in Manchester. And then I just thought, you know what? No, I'm going to go home. I'm going to go back to my football club.
Follow your heart.
Follow my heart, and I just wanted to play for this football club, and it was the best decision I ever made. And if I had the same choice, I would do exactly the same again.
Where are we gonna be? We're gonna be the top!
Not too many players turned down Sir Alex Ferguson,
Yeah.
but let's look at the current Premier League managers. If you choose maybe Klopp, maybe Pep, maybe another manager, which current Premier League manager you would love to play for?
I mean, I don't think it really matters because of the number of chances that both clubs create, Liverpool and Man City. I mean, when you look at the standard of football from those two clubs over the past few years, the standard of football that they've produced has been absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's been a joy to watch. And for a centre forward, whether that was Aguero or whether that's Mo Salah or Sadio Mane or Firmino now, I mean, to play in either of those teams, whether you've got Kevin De Bruyne supplying the balls to you or Trent Alexander-Arnold or whoever that may be at either club, for a centre forward it's dreamland, because the chances are just happening every single game. So I don't think it matters which one. They're both great.
I thought you were going to go for Jurgen Klopp, perhaps, because the personality, the character, the style of play.
Yeah, I mean, they're different. They're both very different characters, but both great managers in their own right. And when you look at what they've achieved over the years, I don't think it would matter to me, because I think they both love attacking football. The both teams create so many chances. So, what I would say is I really would fancy my chances of hitting 30 goals on a regular basis if I was playing on either side.
The Israeli midfielder is Eyal Berkovic, recently celebrated his 50th birthday.
Right.
Unbelievable. Makes me feel old, actually.
Me too.
You faced him several times in the Premier League. What are your memories from a very creative midfielder?
Yeah, very, very good. Had a brilliant career. When you think of the Premier League all those years ago, you think of it being very physical, very demanding, and for him being such a, I mean, he wasn't a big lad. He wasn't a guy that could go into crunch and tackle. So you had to be a good player to survive when you were his size, and he was definitely that. The way he had the ball and dribbled, and his technical ability was superb. You
scored 260 Premier League goals.
Yep.
Just imagine if you had Eyal in your lineup. Could
Picking
have been 300.
out those passes, there might have been a few more.
Let's play five-a-side.
Yeah.
Choose your top 5 players in your dream team. You're the 5th in this team.
All right.
The best goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, and a striker you ever played with.
It would have been Peter Schmeichel. Tony Adams was the best defender I played against. Paul Gascoigne, Paul Scholes. And it would have to be Les Ferdinand up front, because I was here with Les for one season, and we scored 49 goals between us that season. And I think I missed a couple of months with injuries, and so did he. So, yeah, Les was a great partner to have up front here at Newcastle. You played in Premier League for so many years. You now work as a pundit, and you observe the league from outside. Which Premier League team per season do you think was the best, the most outstanding we've ever seen? Well, that could change this season, because Liverpool could go on and win all 4. Yes. They've already got one in the bag. Realistic, you think? Absolutely realistic, yeah. When you look at the squad they've got one foot in the semi-final of the Champions League already, going for the league, going for the FA Cup. So, yeah, that could change. I mean, if they were to win all 4 trophies, I mean, what an unbelievable achievement. When you go back to '99, Man United won the treble that year, the FA Cup, the Champions League, and the league. Of course, they beat us, Newcastle, in the FA Cup that year. But we've been fortunate. As I said, I mentioned earlier about the 2 teams who have taken football to a new level. I think a new standard. The way they've pushed each other to different levels over the past few years has just been incredible, and it's great for the viewer, great for the neutral, that the standard of football we're seeing in the Premier League, particularly from those 2 every single week, is phenomenal. I'll take you back to the summer of 1996 in terms of the Euros. Leading to that tournament, you haven't scored as an England player for nearly 2 years. Yes. And there were other great options, Teddy Sheringham, Les Ferdinands, etc., Robbie Fowler, Andy Cole,
plenty of options as well. Guys, how important was the support you received from a mental point of view, from an emotional point of view, for you eventually to go out there and deliver on such a big stage? Well, I received one of the best pieces of man management I ever had in my career from Terry Venables about a month before the tournament, because we were going over to Hong Kong and China to play in friendly games. And before we went, Terry pulled me to one side and said to me, whatever happens in these warm-up games, you will be my number 1 centre forward for the first game against Switzerland. And I just thought, wow, albeit I was still scoring 30 plus goals for Blackburn that season. I hadn't scored for England, as you say, for 2 years. So I think for him to have that belief in me and give me that confidence, there was no way I could let him down.
Oh, it comes through now, and that's the goal for Alan Shearer.
I had to repay him. Thankfully, I scored in the first game against Switzerland, and then went on to be the tournament top scorer. But it was that piece of advice from Terry that really made me sit back and thought, wow, I cannot let this guy down, and thankfully I didn't. Let's talk about the current England, a brilliant summer, reaching the summer, the final of the Euros against Italy. The World Cup is not too far away.
Would you have done any big changes in the squad, or are you happy with what Gareth is doing at the moment, leading with Qatar?
No, I don't think it would be right to make big changes. I think when you've had the success that they've had, I mean, when you look at where England were when they had that disaster against Iceland to where they are now in playing in a World Cup semi-final, European Championships final, so there's definitely progression, and some of the players and young players also that have come through and made this a special squad. I believe there's a genuine, realistic chance of England going into the World Cup in Qatar and winning it.
Really?
I do, yeah.
Well, fantastic. Very confident.
Yeah, I mean, and I understand there's other great countries there who have had far more success than what England have had. But when you look at what England have done and where they're going and where they got to in the last summer, then yeah, why shouldn't there be a belief that they can go and win it? And that's what Gareth's inherited or put into this squad.
Wishing you all the best yourself to Newcastle United. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thanks for talking to me.
Thank you.
The one, the only, Newcastle United!
Score that